So we are, it says we're recording. Okay. So Russell J. Gould, I don't understand most of what you have to say, but people that I trust tell me that I should be paying attention. And as a service to all of those that listen to me and have also seen my videos with others like Ben Fulford and Anna von Reitz and Sasha Stone, and one day I hope David Icke, I really want to make a genuine effort to give you a platform to put out some answers. Now, I have received enormous praise for the first interview that we did. And I've had a lot of people say, we have more questions. Don't limit yourself to 30 minutes. Well, I still want to limit myself to 30 minutes, but you and I have agreed to go through these 12 questions, and then at the end of it, you'll have kind of an open platform to say whatever you want at the end. So are you ready to start?
Yes, it's an honor to be here, honor to give closure to your audience, Robert, and thank you very much for having me on.
You know, Russell, closure is a very good word. I think people are seeking closure, and I think that you and others are part of how this collective intelligence is going to come together. So I respect you enormously, and even though I may not understand all of this stuff, I think it's very important. So here's question number one. You talked last time about a quantum financial system that you've created that could be implemented to benefit everyone in a fair way. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I created the quantum banking system in 2001, and I published the quantum banking system and the charters for that with 82 nations at the United Nations, as well as the World Bank, the IMF, and all stock markets on planet Earth. With this interface on quantum grammar that my ex-business partner, who is now dead, David Winkler and myself created. David was a witness on the bank charters. He had no authorization within the banking construct. So I want to clarify that up front because of the knowledge concerns. It took a lot to build. It took me years and years and years of searching out, and it's a commodity-based banking system based on value for value, where there are no derivatives and no things getting ahead of each other. I developed a digital currency platform called crypto-currencies, and ever since then I've seen a lot of plagiarism off my concepts. But my concepts bring a lot of accountability when you use my system. It pre-positions the facts or the conditions, so we can look into the condition of mind on why things are being done or aren't being done in contract, and it creates a fair level playing field for performance because of the translation, where I can go in and out of all languages in the world, and I lose no deviation of my sentence structure. And it took me on a voyage, if you'd like to say, to comprehend the very functions of what makes contracts. I disqualified the charters for the International Bureau of the Weights and Measures, or of Weights and Measures, which was an adverb verb. And I created the Global-Bureau of the Weights and Measures. And I basically placed a claim to use the characters and symbols for communication as we use it for alphabets, punctuation, numbers, math algorithms, and in sequence to create a platform of fairness to translate from one language to another for the people of the world.
Well, what I hear you say is value-based, no derivatives. I assume you also mean full transparency?
Yes. The values, I was, when the Obama people were in there, I was making a run. I'm very good in the lab and chemistry. In chemistry, I have my own periodic tables, and I follow those functions on positive performance on electron shells and stuff. And I don't want to get into the complications of that, but when I published it, within 72 hours, the NSA, the Department of Defense, and the U.S. Treasury pulled me off the street to have a conversation about what I had just done, what I had just created. But it was a good conversation. But when Obama and them were in there, they didn't really like me a whole lot, and I didn't really care for them a whole lot. And they raided my labs and shut me down. But when Mr. Trump got into office, one of the things that he did say was, he appreciates someone that does hard work. And so I went down to Washington, D.C. to the headquarters of the U.S. Secret Service and, told them, hey, I'd like to go back to work to help the American people. I have concepts in my technology. It does away with extracting metals, precious metals out of the earth, and deals with more of electron manipulations to stabilize shells and create wealth without mining per se. You know, I can authenticate based on what I can get out per pound out of certain ore bodies that I've been profiling for years. And those ore bodies don't actually have to be taken out of the ground. You know, I'm about not tearing down the earth. I'm about giving to the earth. And so I'm against the chemtrails, and I'm against the things that the chemistry that they're running at us with their nanobot scientific war, and, you know, the 5G and the things for manipulations. And so please comprehend that because of the martial law, all civil courts are closed on the planet. It's a martial law theater. I took down the World Court at The Hague and the shipping lanes into the World Court of The Hague when I was conducting a military court-martialing against the Bush gang on January 6th of 2005. That was logged in with the undercover agents of the FBI who were accompanying David, and I was going over to the World Court at The Hague, but U.S. Customs didn't have jurisdiction over me, and so they moved me around Homeland Security because I was traveling at that point. I didn't have a passport, and I was mailing myself through my secrets. You know, your fortunes are your secrets, and I was mailing myself around their encompassing arm, so to speak, and U.S. Customs took me around to the airplane pilot, and they cut me off. The airplane pilot goes, "You're a smart guy." They said, "You may be able to defeat all this, but can you fly a plane?" And I was like, no, I can't fly this plane. He goes, "Well, I'm the captain of this vessel, and you know, you have not paid with us the bond for us," and they wouldn't let me board. But David went over to the World Court at The Hague and filed in my documents, and those contracts were lodged in, and I syntaxed the clerk of court's shipping communication back to me and sued them for fictitious grammar. And basically it was a contract conducting, I don't want to get into technicalities because I'm trained in a lot of campaign and theater, you know, military movement stuff as a muster-master, muster-master general, and paymaster general, and secretary of the Navy's office.
Well, let's move on, because I really want to get to these questions.
Complex.
Yeah. Now, you talked last time about copious amounts of wealth being stolen on 9/11, and I've heard that all of the vaults were emptied.
Yes,
and there are rumors that a lot of gold was smuggled out, which was supposed to create a gold-backed system. In other words, the good guys may have taken the gold rather than the bad guys. I continue to think 9/11 was all bad guys.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I tend to believe that 9/11 was about all the bad guys, based on why are we killing American citizens? And so when somebody's willing to kill American citizens, I would have to classify that as a bad guy in my world, because I love the people of this country, and I love the land and the waters and all the beauty that's here. So,
well, then here's the next question, because some people would put you right up there with QAnon, which can either be a compliment or a curse. Do you have any views on QAnon? That's question number 3.
On QAnon, well, a lot of people have accused me of being QAnon. A lot of people have said a lot of things. I can just say that I have no computer access to any of the algorithms or anything that they're logging in, but they are bringing a sense of cognition to the American people and to the people of the world. And people of the world need fairness. We don't need any more no's. We need yes. We need yes, we want cures. Yes, we want clean air. Yes, we want clean water. Yes, we want clean chemistry going into our food. And so we don't need that anymore. Well, what the people of the world need is a simple yes. We're going to fix this, and it's happening now. So it's about coming together, and I
really like that. That resonates with me. And one of the reasons I'm paying attention to you is because there's a balance between the stuff that I can't understand and the stuff that I can understand, and you're hitting it on the stuff that I can understand.
Yes.
Now, if you had a chance to work with President Trump and support of President Trump and making America great again over the next 60 days, what would you do in terms of resetting the law, mining gold? Apparently, there's a lot of gold underneath all of the national parks and areas that the federal government has, in my view, illegally taken from the states. What are your thoughts? What 3 big boom, boom, booms could you give the president going toward Election Day?
Well, it'd be, first of all, flag authorizations because of I'm the guy in the congressional records, me and David, when we filed for the flag on August 12th, 1999. And we have the 4th masters of, masters.
But what does that do for the president tangibly?
Well, what it would do is open up the ability to create portage and to kind of free the land, so to speak, and give him access to what we call a post road into a position to then now leverage the value in the ground to create certificates against that, and then leverage that to the beneficiaries, both federal contractors and the people of this country.
How do you feel about absentee landlords? I mean, I really am huge on people of the land, and I don't see where the land can be sold to some bank in a foreign country.
Well, I would concur with that 100%. First of all, in order to sell things, they have to have a post road and a ship's channel, and there are mechanical things on ship's channels where the United States Postal Service, due to their violation of Title 39, Section 101, subsection A and subsection B, in the presidential election of 2000, where they created the Florida Chads to the ruse to the people. And so since of that violation, the authorization to sell our ports, to sell our lands, to diversify and do a kind of a terraforming and to set up safe havens for foreign entities in our land is completely false and misleading. And the countries that bought those are also engaged in false and misleading, because under Title 42, 1986, knowledge of the facts and stopping and correcting of the wrong, they have not engaged in any stopping and correcting of any wrong. And this is this soil was bought and paid for by our forefathers' blood. And we need to honor that as we look at what is going on here. So people need to be warned and be cognizant that our freedoms were not won by that of a registered gun. They were won by the fact of the blood, sweat, and tears of those people who conveyed their lives on the line for our very freedoms that we have today.
I think there is definitely something to be said for having a conversation about who owns the land and whether we have had, in fact, a very illegal Congress that has not had the authority to act in our name. Now, how do you feel about these state assemblies that Audubon Rights talks about?
Well, here's the thing with that, okay? So when I was coming up through my things, and I went toe-to-toe with many state attorney generals. I've been in the courtroom so many times I can't even begin to count. And one of the things that I had was, if the state, where's their money? Where are they creating where's their money? Because birth certificates don't count anymore as collateral on Posit with vital statistics, because the birth certificate system ended in 1999. So where's the money? Where's the flag? These are good people that are definitely trying to make a difference in their space. The techniques, because of what I know of shipping, I would very much so. And a lot of these people are kind of new into the theater, right? They're in the last 5-10 years, they've all popped up. Whereas I've shown a continuance track record for 24 years to maintain the rules of the continuance of the evidence as a judge and as a functioning steward of the systems that I've built for the people of this country and for the people of the world ultimately. But, we have to take care of our home front first, and I care and love each and every one of my friends that don't comprehend me. But
okay, now this is you're losing me here. So bottom line is the value in the land and the value in labor and the value in performance are where the new emerging economy has to be rooted, rather than in the financialization, the derivatives, the fraud, the naked short selling. So in essence, I although I don't understand it, I'm beginning to see that the president has a chance to create a new economy that is rooted in real value and that delivers that value to the labor rather than the capital, which is fraudulent. So what about global currencies? Who has the authority to set currency value?
Well, I disqualified all stock markets on the planet for fictitious grammar. I also disqualified the Bureau of Weights and Measures, as well as the International Maritime Commission. The reason why I did that is maritime commissions dealt with contract being the style of how a vessel paper comes into location. And so these are things that I created. I filed in as a comptroller of the global -currency long before anybody even had these concepts in their mind, long before, people are like, we need to have a new commerce and do this and that. And so I have my own global currencies, as well as my land currencies. I don't know if you can see that, but mine are based on lighthouses. Mine are based on navigating the navigational buoy, so to speak, and articulate closure from location to location on ley lines and some of the things that I was trained in. and some of the things that, unfortunately, they've been using to manipulate energies for quite some time on this planet.
Well, we're gonna get into energy and time and space manipulation in a minute. But do you have an opinion about Judy Shelton and the talk about President Trump creating an asset-backed currency?
If he is going to do that, I would highly suggest that they come consult me, for you only know what you know until you find out what you don't know. And there are technologies that I've put in place that I have shared, and there's a lot of technologies that I have not shared based upon they have to be honorable when they come to the table. So I don't quite give everything out there. I just give enough to where they can say, okay, this guy has different knowledge. What does this mean, and how can we use it? And that's only a stepping plate for a much bigger thing that I have in place for the people, as far as stability and generations for families and family dynasties and corporal herediments and fiefments, a lot of technicalities.
Let's talk about the manipulation of time. You spoke about that last time. Give us a few words on the manipulation of time.
Well, if you're in a now space and dimensions, call it dimensional witnessings, are in joinder with the condition of heart, because it's always about the condition of heart, the condition of mind, which creates the performance, right? If the condition of heart and the condition of mind is that of a moral situation, and it helps the bigger goal. See, this is much bigger than me. You have to comprehend this. What I've done is not about me. It's about helping all. And so I've always had my plate open to help those that are, not all, because some people, again, like you were saying earlier, some people have had very nefarious thinking to create hardships upon we the people. So those people need to be identified, in which they identify themselves based on their performances. And then that performance then needs to be compartmentalized on a line. And this is the line that I stand on the line and I say, you're not coming over into this now space. And
so why have so many evil people gotten away with literally genocide and war and child trafficking for so many years?
Because the people of the world don't have much of a backbone, and they're pretty fickle at best, sadly, because we've been demoralized through our social engineering that has been perpetrated upon us through the scientocracy and all the things that they have going on against us. And so as far as people having a backbone, I'm starting to see it out here, which I'm thankful for, but they need to know have full closure so they can make the choices that are honorable for our fellow mankind.
Let me ask you this, all these sheep, all these pod people wearing masks, they don't seem to have a spine, and yet you're seeing signs of a spine emerging?
I'm seeing a few things. You know, as you know, I don't play in the little pantomime, little mask game that they have going on. And in that, you know, people like are approaching me while I walk around society, and, you know, they're trying to tell me that this and that, this and that. And I'm looking at them and say, look, I'm Commander Chief. I said, you see that computer, see that video camera right there? That's the AI. I says, I wrote Jade-Helm 1, Jade-Helm 2. I have tactical asymmetrical command control of the situation. And, you know, I hang around dudes that, you know, we roll people if they roll up on us. Nothing personal, you know, so I'm not to be messed with, you know, so, you know, that's not the way I want to be. You know, I don't want to hurt anybody. Then in return, you have to honor people and people's thinking. If people don't want to wear the mask, you know, and believe that the mask actually creates a little bit more of a disease situation, you know, there's a lot of proof out there that would tend to believe that
people are being killed. People are being killed by cops and mobs for not wearing a mask.
Yeah. It's coming. You know, it's coming, and sadly, it doesn't need to come in our now space. But you just never know, and, you know, we're geared up. We've seen the last couple of times we've been out, people are getting a little frisky, and we don't look. That's when it comes out of the backbone.
Is there any application of the manipulation of time toward election 2020?
Boy, now let me see if I clarified this question correct. The question was, you think that the mask is going to influence the election of 2020?
Well, I'm wondering, A, if election 2020 will take place on time and lawfully. And
Well,
two,
technically it shouldn't, because this is martial-law, and all civil functions are suspended because the presidential election is in violation of Title 39, Section 101, subsection A and subsection B, because the post office doesn't have authorization for franking for shipping stamps out anymore. So that's from the 2000 presidential election, basing upon their performances. But the cool thing is it might end up in my Supreme Court. I'm Chief Judge of the U.S. Supreme Court on October 1st, 2004. I became Chief Judge of the United States Supreme Court. And so, I'm waiting for the U.S. Marshal Service kind of to step forward and tell some of their stories, because I've had many U.S. Marshals tell me, hey, Russell, we see you at the U.S. Supreme Court. You took over, you're Chief Judge. Of course, all behind the scenes, and some of the theaters that I've been in, because I was being rused up in a pretty physical way. But the U.S. Marshal Service definitely know that I stand my ground, and very humbly and very honestly, I'm kind of waiting for some of those guys to step forward and some of those law enforcement officers to step forward, because I did make many friends because I was very humble and very honest, and never got angry, kept level-headed. When you're in a fight, you have to be flexible, you have to adapt, you have to be real balanced, and know your target goal, and do whatever it takes to get to that goal. And
well, you haven't been killed, and you haven't been put in a lunatic asylum. So,
well, last time I was put in a lunatic asylum, the Department of Navy came in with their science with their science officers and had a conversation with me. And when they did that, the civil sector totally backed off and did a 180. And we were just talking about the fact that I run the world and all the things that come with that. So it was
all right. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that, but let me give you the benefit of the doubt. Now, question number 8, you wrote a new periodic table based on monoatomic elements.
Yes.
Can you talk about that and maybe relate it to your exploitation of minerals without necessarily disturbing the ground?
Well, when you're talking about matter that's unstable and bringing things from a 33 atom cluster down to a one cluster position. There are many people that have done many wonderful things throughout the years, and many scientists and chemists throughout history, alchemists, transitionists, call them whatever they may be. And they have figured a lot of really wonderful things out. But the things that they figured out go back to ancient ways of the rights of the ruling, right? And so when you look at the functions of that, what I did, I was the first guy to actually publish one of those treaties it dealt with space length in galactic positioning. It dealt with a lot of things, and it was finite at best. I published it with the NSA, NASA, the Vatican, because of some of the things that they were up to, and other locations around the world that gave it a unique standing. And like I said, when I did that, the NSA, bam, they snatched me up pretty fast to have a conversation about what it is that I had done under, they were calling me porthole man, worm man. They called me a lot. I got accused of a lot of things that day, but it was really good conversations, and they left with their head on their shoulders, and I left with my head on my shoulders, and a mutual comprehension that the technology was to be used for good. And it was also published with the U.S. Department of Energy simultaneously. So
what does is this technology manifest in a machine, or is it completely intellectual and ethereal?
Chemical and time. I'll just leave it at that. Chemicals and time. Yeah.
Do you believe the U.S. Navy has very large spaceships?
The U.S. Navy probably has many brilliant men and women working on those projects. I'm not in the background looking at that right now. I have different functions within the ways of I don't know if you'd call them ancients. I don't know what you would call them necessarily, but the transitionalists, we call it changeling. It's a thing.
All right, here's another question, which is very respectful. Does Postmaster General Gould know of a way to fund approximately $500 billion into locally controlled electromagnetic proof sustainable farming throughout America? In other words, can you help create food security?
I could. I would need to be taken into the venue. The nice thing about me as a banker is because I can do the work myself. I don't have to mine the work because I can hypothecate it through the leverage system, through my foreign currency platforms, through my global stock markets. And the bankers that come aboard those vessels autograph the stamps under a sealed, what they would call a sealed letter of credit. I call it a sealed letter of the value. And then the bills of the ladies have been paid. They would join the terms of the contract to determine what quantity and quality of value that they want. At that point, it comes to the foreign currency platforms that I've built. Don't want to get into the technicalities of that because it's pretty classified, and it needs to be done from nation to nation with people that are honorable and want to use the technology.
So you're not in touch with farming communities per se?
I know a lot of farmers in Wyoming, where I'm from, but I'm not in touch with them. I don't know what's going on in their programs and how they're moving their wealth or whatnot.
Does the federal government have any legitimacy when it comes to taxing the individual income of anybody?
Taxing the federal government? Is that what you're asking? Well, the IRS got kicked out of the United States in 1999, so I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but I'm kind of watching actually how they're going to get into position to make a statement of a claim because they don't have a flag. So I'm trying to figure that out first, and then I'll get into what taxes look like.
I mean, I'm actually wondering if President Trump might be leaning toward eliminating the IRS and the federal income tax.
Well, he probably knows that the IRS was kicked out of the United States. He's probably cued in on the secrets.
Well, I'm still paying taxes.
Well, look, I was down in 2004 in Washington, D.C. at the United States Internal Revenue Service tax courts. The head clerk came out with conversation in front of about 30 people, recorded conversation, screaming and yelling, "There are no taxes. Why are these people paying taxes, Russell? Tell them there are no taxes." So, I don't know what to tell people. It is what it is. Do what you got to do, but their knowledge is on them, and I don't encourage it one way or another because I'm not going to tell people what to think or what to be accountable for.
Yeah. Now here's the last question. Who is in control of our national parks and forests? It seems that some of America's greatest gold reserves are in the ground, and they've been locked up from development by making territories a national park. I'm personally interested in reopening the West as a new frontier, ideally as a self-sustainable new frontier with small cities and towns connected by high-speed rail and so forth. So do you believe that America has massive treasures underground that could be used to basically make America great again?
Yes. Yes, they do. This comes under the authorization of the post office through the Port Authority's office, where those contracts were shipped and delivered to other foreign corporations who made the assumption that the American people were asleep at the wheel. But I'm here to tell the world and all those foreign corporations that your contracts are conveyed with fictitious grammar and they are not valid on our land.
Although I'm absolutely certain some of this comes across as really crazy, I'm also certain that you and President Trump might be on the same page in terms of national sovereignty and individual sovereignty.
Sorry, Robert, you're cutting out there. I couldn't hear the question.
Is my voice clear?
It is now.
Okay. So it sounds like you're really a champion of national and local sovereignty. And it's not possible to give away the land.
Yes, they did not have the credentialing to be under stewardship to give the value away. Once fraud is found on contract, the contract becomes null and void. So the money needs to go back to whoever bought it, and whoever bought it needs to get their money back because the fees for freight just weren't valid for the changing of the assets under their what they call a switching way bill. I don't want to get into the technicalities of it, but
no, my head already hurts. All right, I've run through all of the questions that my various people in the audience wanted me to ask of you. So I am in essence serving my audience, and you are helping me serve my audience. So as we draw to a close, is there anything that's on your mind that you think needs to be brought out now?
Well, I'd like to, bring the closure to the people of the world, the people of this land, that, they should stay peaceful as they can. You know, I see a lot of strife happening out here. I see a lot of people getting very frustrated. And instead of airing frustration, they should take a look at the grammar and take a look at what's being done. And then I'm coming out with a new film here in the next month. It's going to ask the questions, why, what does this mean? It's a very short film, about 60 minutes. And it'll give the people much more closure about my story and what this meant on the things that have been said, as well as, you know, the American soldiers that are out there, you know, sacrificing and going through their things that they have to go through. You know, they should take a look at my story and definitely consider what this means. I rewrote the whole Department of Military Veterans Affairs portfolios for conducting business when I was conducting the military court-martialing. It took me 3 years to write the whole program, and it's more of a dynasty-based floating macroeconomic pay scale for the military soldiers that, number one, get hurt in the line of the duty, and also get killed in defending the contracts or wherever locations they're at. So they should seriously take a look at that. It's all based on asset-based for value, and it has a floating scale to keep a dynasty going on for their families if they lay down their lives honorably for this country.
That's fascinating. I mean, I'm huge on veterans. We've got 22 million veterans. We've got 75,000 amputees. We've got 265,000 people who are suffering some kind of post-traumatic stress syndrome. What are you going to be doing for the next 60 days?
For the next 60 days, actually, I'm in a transition right now. I'm going to be moving again. I'm not quite sure. I kind of know where I want to end up, but I don't want to say because too many people. But I'm in the transition of getting a little bit better living stability. I've done a lot of sacrificing to my living conditions and a lot of sacrificing to myself, and I kind of need to clean that up a little bit, clean myself up a little bit, because I've been working so hard that I haven't had the chance to take care of myself. So,
is there a way or a place for people to donate to you?
There probably will be. I just haven't. I've never even looked into that, and I do apologize. But that's a good question. I can put something up maybe at the end of my film for that, and maybe that'll be a way. So be looking for the film. It's called Last-Flag-Standing, and it'll be a film coming out here very shortly. So I'll put something on there for donations. I never even considered that. I just work and. You know, been doing everything on the sweat of my own brow, so to speak.
No, so. I will certainly advertise it, and I won't tell anyone that your fake background is actually covering up a very exotic set of dancers in a bar in Arizona.
I do love the ladies, no doubt about it. I have a lot of love for them, but no dancers here. I do apologize about that.
All right, Russell J. Gould. You are a very unusual person, and I sense that there is some gold in them there hills. So we will continue our conversation. God bless you, sir. God bless all of you watching, and God bless the President of the United States of America.
God bless you and your audience. Blessings to you all.
Bye-bye.